Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the Jason Jones Show. I am your host, Jason Jones, broadcasting from the beautiful hill country of Texas. And it's going to be hard to do a show right now because I just found out minutes ago. It'll have been yesterday for you, but for me, it's just been a few minutes ago that Charlie Kirk passed away. And to all of us, Charlie Kirk was a hero. He was brave. He was charismatic. I knew Charlie. I had the privilege of meeting Charlie Kirk before he was Charlie Kirk. He was a young man with a dream, and he came to a donor event. And the young Charlie Kirk then was very respectful. He called me Mr. Jones. And something that always struck me about Charlie over the years is he became one of the most influential men in America, not young men, but men in America, is he always treated me with the respect that you would treat an elder. And I thought that it was a bit uncanny, especially as he became so influential, that he still always spoke to me with this sort of respect that one would speak to an elder. And I noticed, obviously, he didn't just do this to me. This is how he treated older folks. He was a gentleman. He loved God. Charlie Kirk was always on Twitter posting his faith. And so for me, it's just kind of breathtaking. It's a breathtaking loss. I had the chance for my children and my guest for today, who's Prince Wafa. My children and some of my friends got to meet Charlie Kirk 2 years ago at one of his events because TPUSA purchased tens of thousands of copies of my book, The Great Campaign Against the Great Reset, to give to their students in a summer reading program. I don't know what's happening to our country. I can just say simply now my heart is broke. And broken for Charlie's family and for all of those who lost a good friend, but also broken for our country. You know, where is our country going? And are we entering a season of relentless political violence like we saw in the 60s? I pray that we come out of this. You know, I founded my organization, the Vulnerable People Project, to leave for my posterity a culture of life and a civilization of love, by advocating the incomparable dignity and beauty of the human person and advocating for the most vulnerable, the outcast, from the child in the womb to the child in Darfur. That was our initial motto when we founded our organization over 20 years ago. And we see the overturning of Roe versus Wade, and that is a modest, beautiful step towards a culture of life. But then in so many other areas of our society, we seem to be going into the wrong direction. And I think today's show, which is something we've had planned for a while, because today is actually quite a big anniversary, guys. So today's supposed to be kind of like a happy show, but I'm going to be heading to New York City to shoot a movie, and I'll be gone for several weeks. So I thought if I didn't do this interview now, it may be swept away forever. And today I'm going to be interviewing Prince Wafa. Prince Wafa has become a dear friend. He's actually a hero of mine. I first became aware of Prince Wafa 4 years ago today, when I received a LinkedIn message from his commanding officer asking if there was anything I could do to help rescue a young man who worked for him, had been a translator. Prince Wafa served with American forces and earned his visa. He came to the United States with $2 in his pocket, drove Ubers, and worked at 7-Elevens, slept on his friend's floor, and did this for years, saving all of his money till he could buy a 7-Eleven. When he married the woman of his dreams from back home, they patiently waited for her visa for, I think, almost 2 years. And when that visa application didn't go through in July of 2021, it became clear to anyone who was paying attention that Afghanistan was falling to the Taliban. In fact, when President Biden said that Afghanistan will never fall, I think it was July 6th of 2021, actually 85% of the districts of Afghanistan had fallen already. So it would have been more accurate to say Afghanistan has fallen. Maybe we can hold Kabul, which of course, on August 15th, 2021, Kabul fell. But it was 4 years ago today I got a request to rescue this young man, Prince. And how did Prince Wafa end up in Afghanistan? Well, he went to get his bride. The State Department wouldn't help her. They said she's not an American citizen. We're sorry, there's nothing we can do. Prince said, I'm an American citizen. if I go, you'll have to help me. And naively, I believe Prince thought if he was there, they would rescue him and his wife. But instead, they found themselves hiding, going from house to house, um, fighting for their survival. And within minutes of me getting that, I was on EWTN News Nightly. Within minutes of me getting that LinkedIn message, I communicated with Prince's commanding officer. His commanding officer gave me Prince's WhatsApp. And if I remember correctly, Prince maybe had 10 minutes left on his on his phone, with credits, and then he would have been lost to the world. And by God's grace, our team was able to help him. And maybe I'll welcome Prince in right now. Prince Wafa, welcome to the Jason Jones Show.
Thank you, Jason, for having me here today. As you spoke, today is a sad day for our country, for every American. It's not about left or right. It is about, I would call it, darkness against brightness. With the Charlie was, and I met Charlie last year actually in Turning Point USA. What a great guy, and we're praying for his family. It's a very sad day today. And when you called me earlier today, I was shocked, honestly, for a minute.
Prince, one of the things that you weren't in the United States yet when one of my heroes and best friends, Andrew Breitbart, passed away. And one of the things that I remember about Andrew Breitbart is that when I would introduce my friends to Andrew, the smile on their face, that they had an opportunity to meet the great Andrew Breitbart. And I'll never forget, we were in Phoenix, Arizona. We were in Arizona, of all places. And I will never forget the smile on your face after meeting Charlie Kirk. Did you know who Charlie was before we brought you to TPUSA?
I did. I was always watching him, like following him on social media and watching some clips from him here and there. And then when we were in Phoenix, Arizona, we actually met him in the backstage. So like, I know there's a lot of talks behind it, like, oh, he's this or he's that. When you actually meet him, he was a different person. Like, he thanked me for the service I did, and he was welcoming very well, and also backstage. So that was great. And also last year, um, I was able to meet him also in the event. Turning Point USA actually have a picture of him with me there too. So
Yeah, well, the thing about Charlie is, again, like you said, he was a controversial figure because of his success. If we all have friends who disagree with us on all sorts of issues. We have friends on the far left and on the far right. But somehow, if somebody becomes very successful and communicates those ideas on the world stage, they become hated. And one thing I think we should always remind ourselves is that when we see people who are disagreeing with us that have large platforms, who in our family would agree with everything they're saying, right? Do we love them? Are they awful people? No. And of course, I agree with Charlie on probably 95% of things. 90 thing. I would probably agree with most Americans on 70, 80% of things. It's this very small part of the pie where we disagree. Where we disagree, it's also these are fundamentals that are very important. And so obviously we shouldn't surrender in our disagreements, but we really should respect each other. We should be thoughtful for behaving in a way that creates a community that we want our children to live in. And so, yeah, for me, my heart is just broken. I want to talk about today, though, the show we had planned, because I can't believe, does it seem longer than 4 years for you or shorter?
yeah. Um, Honestly, I think it felt like longer 4 years when I looked like, oh, 4 years ago, and then I look back, oh, it's already like, it's both feeling sometimes. Like, when I remember how things were going, and when I look at my daughter now, I have a 2 years old. I'm like, oh wow, okay, that was not long, and she's growing in front of my face. Um, Definitely, it feels like, well, that moment felt long when I was there, and
Yeah,
after
I
that,
was going to say, because for me, it seems like 20 years
yeah, it is.
ago.
It
It
is
doesn't
long.
seem like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
So,
and this
can you
stuff we
tell
did.
us? I mean, those 3 weeks, those from when we connected till when you finally got out of Afghanistan was 10 weeks.
Yeah, around. So it was
I want, oh,
September
sorry.
until October 24th when I got out. So September 5th, 4th, 5th, 10th. Yeah, something like it was
So
a
early September
early
when we
September.
first touched base. And then from early September until the end of October. And I will tell you, from when we made contact with you, as an American citizen. No, you were the only American citizen we had on our list. So you became our priority. And so from early September until the end of October, for me seemed like eternity. Like every day, I honestly, brother, didn't think you were going to live. I steeled myself. And we became very close in a short period of time because we're talking on WhatsApp. Well, tell the story as you remember it, how we made contact. I shared how I remember it. Share the story how you remember it.
So basically, I was trapped in Afghanistan, and then what happened was like I had my military friends and brothers that here they were contacting everybody, like anyone they knew, from sending emails. I actually wrote two open letter to President Biden at the time. They responded to me back when I was in the US. So I was like, okay, what a quick response, but great. So one of the day, in my commander who I used to serve with in Afghanistan texts me like, hey Prince, I know I've been telling you I contacted this, they're gonna help. I contacted that, they're gonna help, and nothing happened. I just have one contact now. I want to like contact him and see if they're really real. If they want to help or not. I was like, okay, well, honestly, I wasn't really taking it serious because, like, if they're contacting Congress, they're contacting everybody, and I'm contacting everybody, and they're just promising, oh, we do this and we do that, and nothing happens, it's one of them. So he contacted, and I got a text message. I remember it was from you. It was not WhatsApp. It was actually on it was a
Signal?
Signal. Yes, it was a Signal thing. It was like, oh, Jason Jones, and then we got into the phone call. And when we started talking, I remember you saying, hey, you're my priority. You're my brother. You serve with us. I will not leave you until we're out here. So that was something I remember for day one. And then after that, when you asked, like, okay, how can we get things? And we just plan things around, basically.
Yeah, I remember through one of our good friends, we were able to pull off kind of a miracle. Your phone was dying,
Yeah.
and we were able to get a guy just to tell us about that without going into too much detail, but sort of this kind of
Yeah. So basically, when you were like asking me, because honestly, I know we grew up in a different time zone, but I don't remember asking people to give me money because I was like, oh, I had everything here, but now I'm in a situation that I can't get money to the country. I didn't expect to be there for like 3 4 months, and every financial institution cut off. When he asked me like, okay, what can we do at the moment? Like readily, I was like, hey, I got only maybe 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that on my phone. Is there any way I can get credit to my phone, because basically there's no money coming to the country. We've finished all our resources. How can we get that? And I remember saying, okay, go to the area, and there was a code given to me. You just go there, someone come to you, and you give them the code and give them the money. So basically, what happened? I was like, "Are they serious? Like how? I mean, what's going on here?" But I was like, "Okay, well, let's do it." So I went to that place, and then someone came up to me like something like me, walked in and was like, okay, this and give me that. And I gave him the code. He gave me the money. So I was able to basically continue the connection with the ward, because my cell phone got recharged, and back, we got back on track.
so it seemed like such a small step, but that crucial first step made everything else possible. If we
Yes.
weren't able to get you the cell phones and money, that would have been the end of it. And the worst, Prince, and I will tell you, there were so many people who we were trying to rescue who we just lost contact with, and we don't know. Did their just cell phones run out of credit? Did they die? Did they find a way out some other way? All these people we worked with sometimes for weeks or months that just vanished, and we don't know. But fortunately, in your case, we were able to get those credits to you and the phone and cash to you.
Yeah. So basically, that time was the darkest time of the whatever I can remember at the time in Afghanistan. Like the problem was like nothing was like, and everything was unclear. We don't know what happened. Like to your point, you don't even know what happened to those people. Are they still alive? I hope they are. If something happened to them, if there's no media coverage, if no one is in the country to verify, validate what's going on there, you could disappear and no one knows what happens. On those days, if people were disappearing, a lot of families were thinking, oh, they're gone, because a lot of people were coming to the plane, right? But who knows? There are still people missing from that time. Like what happened? They didn't even get back to their families. Like what are the chances that they made out of the country? I don't think they did, because they would have definitely contacted their families. But hey, I'm in this country or that country, so they could understand they're safe.
Yeah, so then we have a phone, so now we're communicating regularly. You actually, unbeknownst to me, through partners of mine, were being asked to do very dangerous things. Do you want to talk about that?
Um, so for me, I was like, okay, I've done this before. I mean, I love to help and see what's going on happen. And I was asking like, okay, can you go to that place and we have a ground movement and can we see what's going on there? So I was basically going places and basically writing some stuff like, oh,
Reports, and these reports helped a lot of large organizations with their evacuations.
yeah, they were like, okay, we have a ground movement from that road. And what I was doing, I had my clothes, African traditional clothes, with my teapot. That's a traditional drinking tea. And the front seat of the car, I have actually have the picture of that car. That car was like a very messed up car, like old, like I don't know, 1980 whatever car. I was sitting in the front seat, going to the checkpoints and just say, hey, they are checking for this because there were different groups checking for different stuff. Some you could tell they have a list and they're looking the names on and asking people's ID. So those are the stuff that I was able to, send the message like, hey, they're asking for, they're looking for a specific license plate, or they have, seems like they had some sort of reporting from stuff from people around them.
And not only did you help a lot of people evacuate, you saved a lot of people's lives who would have walked into traps. So then we're there. You and I are on the phone every day. You're my priority. We are evacuating other people. We're moving people here, there, and everywhere. At that time, we were moving people into several different neighboring countries. Um, do you want to share, or do you want me to share about like when we found an opportunity to get you and your wife out?
Uh, you can go ahead, please, I guess.
Okay, so this guy, we found an opportunity to get him and his wife out. I believe it was $170,000, Prince. It was because he was a U.S. citizen, had that blue passport. Yeah, we found a way to get him out for $170,000. But I said to Prince, listen, we're going to get you out, but it's going to be over land and it's going to be rough, but you'll be safe. You won't feel safe, but you and your wife will be safe. And this is the only way we can get you out right now. There were a lot of organizations offering flights, um, but they weren't materializing. It was like tomorrow, the next day, then they never did happen, right? So, and I'm dealing with people that I'm losing every day. They literally would call me, and then I would hear the gunfire in the back, and they would say, "Brother, help!" And then, so here I'm dealing with this, and now we have a way to get Prince out. And you said no to the land operation, and you told me it was because your wife was afraid to go over land. But tell us what the real story was.
So basically, when you told me $175,000, I was on the ground. I could see what that money can do to the people here, and I didn't want to be the selfish person who wants to spend all this money on themselves. And I know you're able to pay for that. And I was like, okay, well, I already took the risk. I'm here. Let's wait. And there's, when you're in business, you're always thinking about profit and loss, right? What is the benefit? Oh, you saving 1%. What is the loss could be another percent, but if you're saving, if you're able to find another way you can save with that money, how many people, that's another vision. Because I knew when I'm out there, there's we can do so much more with that to save a lot of lives. So I had to come up with this because like I didn't want you to think like this guy's crazy, like why we offer him to leave and he's not leaving, and you just barely know me. Like, how can I explain what I have in my mind and what I'm thinking about? Like, hey, I know you want to spend that money, but we can do a lot more with that money.
But you knew, I mean, that was at the end of September, so it's going to be another 3.5 weeks before you were able to get on a State Department flight.
Honestly, it could have been like because everyone else things were changing. I didn't even know if there would be any flight next night, next morning or not, because everything was changing. Like the situation was changing, lands were closing. Like travel from land was closed for a long period of time. You never know what's happening, like here and there. I know there was a risk to take, to like basically reject that in a good way. But yeah, we did it, and I'm really glad we did that. Right.
Well, and we'll get to why we're glad you did that. But at the time, I was stressed out because now again, it was just another 3.5 weeks, but that 3.5 weeks seemed like forever. Share with us what happened how many times you were told to go to the airport, what you had to do on the way to the airport, and how scary that was. And then there's no
So
flight.
Yeah, basically at the beginning, if we go back, we're calling the State Department. They're like, "Hey, go to the airport." I'm like, "How can I go to the airport when there's like like miles of people waiting? And how can I go show this blue passport to a member of the Taliban that the U.S. and as we fought for the last 20 years? How come they became our friends overnight?" Like it's not only me now, it's my wife's too. Like I can't just go risking her life because I want to take a chance. And whether and the word we're saying, like, okay, go to the airport, safety not guarantee, that's what they were saying. Like, okay, so you want me to go to the airport, show my passport to the checkpoint of the Taliban, like, hey, this is Prince, I'm an American citizen, we fought with you for the last 20 years, can I get a pass? Like, how is that possible? So after, like, total withdrawal from U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, which was on August 30th, a day before the 30th. They said 31st, but they withdrawn a day before they left. So people were gone, and then we were told to go to the airport. Okay, well, now the list of our names are on the hand of the Taliban. Basically, they have a list of the names there, which is including my name and passport number and everything they need to find someone. So we went through the checkpoint. There's like 4 or 5 different checkpoints when you get to the airport. So basically, I showed my passport, passing there, passing, and final stage, which is waiting room. We go for a plane. We were there at 9 a.m. and we were there until 5 p.m. afternoon. The flight were canceled because the State Department did not got the enough documentation based on what they are saying for the takeoff. So, but now the problem is now they know I'm here. Like if I go back, what are the chances that I make it back home? Because I was heading, now I'm here. I was thinking like I'm leaving, now I have to go back. And for how long more? Who knows? So I had to coordinate a way that, okay, we go to that part of the airport, someone can pick us up. We don't go to the same house we were. We just have to get dropped off somewhere else because I don't want to, leave any foot trap basically after us, so they can go find us. And now you're expecting when your flight get canceled, you're the next flight, right? Like normally, if your flight canceled, okay, the same people move to the next flight, and then that how it works. I hear from news that flights are taken off, and I'm not on any of them. Like, okay, what's going on? Like normally, if your flight's canceled, everything is ready. Your travel
I'm
document.
hearing this too, and I'm confused. You're an American citizen and not on these flights.
Yeah, like what's going on there? So there was another time they sent us to a hotel called Serena. Go there, and there's Americans. I'm like, okay, and talk to them and see if you can get into the plan. I went there. Actually, I faced a few members of the Taliban's, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" Because I didn't tell them like what I'm here for. I was like, "Oh, like I'm here to see if my friends are here. They were working here. They're like, oh, no one is here. Everybody's gone. You need to get to go." So after
Can you
that,
tell us what this? So, did you get into the Serena Hotel at this time at all? Ever?
I was no, I never got to the Serena Hotel. I was told to go to the gate. I was in the gate and facing the Taliban guards there. Like, how can you get in there, and how can you tell them like what's the reason you're here? That was scary because I know like nothing is going on
I
there.
mean, you
So
could make a whole movie around the Serena Hotel those in that month of August.
yeah, that was a lot of things going on there. So now going back home and I'm seeing flights are taken off and without having anything, and I'm in touch with the State Department. There's some numbers, WhatsApp numbers, like, hey, I'm here. Like, what's going on? Like, are and then I heard there's a flight like the next day. Like, I am I in the flight next flight? They're like, oh, it is. I'm not sure if you are. It depends on availability of the seats. Like, I was like, okay, I thought you said there's no U.S. citizen in Afghanistan, and now you're telling me there are so many that you don't even have enough seats.
So this is a really good point. You came out publicly. I begged you not to. I had a line which was, I said, rescue then retribution, right? Or
Right.
evacuation then retribution. And I said, let's get you home so you can have the rest of your life to write op-eds. But you wrote an op-ed. You were outspoken. You said you say there are no Americans here, and then you're like, I'm here. Then the Biden administration, because of you, had to admit they left Americans behind. Then there are so many Americans behind that you can't even get on a plane. And now we're 2 months after the fall of Afghanistan almost.
Yeah, so 2 months after fall of Afghanistan, and I get some rumors that okay, there's a flight taking off from Kabul tomorrow, and I'm not sleeping. Like nights, there's no sleep for me. I don't sleep. I can't sleep. I'm just like everything is falling apart. I want to get in. My bags are packed. We want to leave. There's a flight tomorrow, and I know there's a flight for fact. They give us information. Okay, there's a flight from some other organization who had contract with them that they're coming out, and I'm like, okay, so I'm waiting for a call. Like normally they call you 24 hours before, and my plan this time is not to go to the airport based on what they say. I just go airport myself without showing anything, and then when I go to the last gate, then I will show my passport because I have to. Um, the flights are coming. I get a call from someone saying, "Hey, Prince, there is a flight tomorrow, and it's gonna be at 8 a.m. And we're talking around like 4 a.m. That's that there. Your name were on the list, but somehow it's not there anymore. Like, if you want to call someone, you're gonna call someone, whatever you want to do." I remember that time. I don't know if you remember. We were in touch, and then we got in touch with. It was their list, I believe, right? Call them like, "Hey, I know they are saying your name were on the list, but it's not on the list. Like, what's going on here? Like, is this something happening because of I'm speaking out, or what's going on?" So finally, I was able to get a call the last minute to get into the plane. I don't know what happened. Maybe they were like, "Okay, if we leave this guy, he's going to damage more." So they keep talking to media. We got into now this time. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna go to the airport from the checkpoint one showing my American passport. I just go there and tell them, hey, I'm going to a different province of Afghanistan. So I show my Afghanistan documents until the last gate. Then I show my American passport, and finally we're able to get into a plane on October 24th, 2021, basically. And then when we took off in Qatar, we were held in Qatar for 44 days with my American passport to be able to come home.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. Again, we saw the same thing in Sudan during in the Biden administration when civil war broke out in Afghanistan and Sudan, just like in Afghanistan. Americans that look like me were pulled to the front of the line. In Sudan, if you were if you were black, if you were ethnically Sudanese, but you were an American citizen, you were pulled out of line. You were literally pulled out of line to make way for people who look like me. Now, this is under the Biden administration. And now here you are, an American citizen, and you are forced to hang out in a humanitarian city for 44 days, which is for SIVs. It's for Afghans that are promised a visa. But then
Yeah.
here you are, an American citizen, and you're there for 44 days. And the truth is, I know the story. You were pretty aggressive. I think if you weren't aggressive, you might have been sent back.
So what they were trying to do is like when I landed to Qatar right now, first they send me to do biometric. Unbelievable, a U.S. citizen biometric. Like what are you trying to say? So next day I came in, I'm sitting here with my passport, and my wife is there, and I remember a major from the military. I don't remember which rank was like. He passed by and he came back to me like, "Can I have your passport?" And I gave it like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "I don't know. I was told to come here for biometric." We're like, "You don't need biometric. You're a U.S. citizen." I was like, "Okay, then." Well, they need to explain it, like why I'm sitting here because in one point, like before that, when we got into Qatar, they were asking me, "Okay, write your Facebook, write your WhatsApp, write your all the social media accounts." And when I did, because I was aggressive to your point, like I was disappointed, aggressive because they definitely could have done better. And I grabbed the paper from him and I crossed it and I put my passport on top. I was like, "This is my identity, not my Facebook. So if you want to look me up, this is my identity, and you should have done this when I was in Kabul, not now, because you're bringing everybody here. You don't even know who you're bringing in, and now you're asking an American citizen to put your Facebook."
And we know, Prince, right? We know from some of our Afghan allies that were counterterrorism and intelligence officers have communicated to us clearly that every group of bad actors in Afghanistan got people on those Biden planes.
Yeah, yeah.
Every group.
Mhm.
And yet here you are, U.S. citizen, you're being vetted. Yet they just shoved people
Yes.
on planes.
The people who had nothing to lose and had a good connection with the securities on airport, basically, they were able to get to the plane no problem. But I had something to lose. If I was going there and if something goes wrong, then that's why I did. Like a lot of people, like why you didn't get to one of those planes. How can you get to one of those planes that you know your life and your wife's life is on the line, because anything can happen to you like right away. And the people who were, not all of them, trust me, there was a lot of people that they were good people that came in here, and I know
A
them.
lot of very good people. You know, my biggest worry, two things worry me. You know, one is, I'll share one thing. One thing really worries me, that the Biden administration let very bad people in this country from Afghanistan who are enemies of this country. And we brought in, as we should have, people like you who we made a deal. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, Prince. I think the SIV program was stupid. Like, I would have opposed, if I was the Secretary of Defense, we would not have had an SIV program. And guys, for you guys listening, what the SIV program is, they were promised a citizenship in exchange for service. Yes, Prince? A
Yeah,
path
yes.
to
Basically,
citizenship.
at the beginning, it wasn't something like this. When I joined, I didn't know such a thing even exists.
Okay, good.
I served in a few, like, okay, I went through then. And honestly, when I joined, like almost with every other Afghans, we had a hope of, okay, we're gonna serve, we're gonna do a change to the country, we will change the face of the country in a better way, and we make it livable for everybody. That was our goal. Because to your point, why would you promising a visa that you're there to build, and if you're building the country, why are you telling these people like, hey, serve this and we take you off? Then it means you're not building it. Like what's going on?
No, what I said the SIV program was like, hey, we'd love you to work on our cruise ship. And one of the benefits is when the ship sinks, we'll put you on the lifeboat. Maybe. Maybe. And wait, I don't want to work for a cruise line that's going to sink. And I really think that the collapse of Afghanistan in many ways was just based on ridiculous policies like this. Everyone that served alongside of our forces didn't have skin in the game. And so when the US left, time to go. You know, there were just a lot of stupid mistakes. Also, leaving in fall. If we left in January, let me ask you this question: if we left in January, do you think Afghanistan would have fallen?
No. If so, here's what I was thinking. Because the propaganda was so much so bad there that they lost the moral of fighting, and we were bringing a lot of the key fighters onto those planes before even Afghanistan fall. If they were living in Kabul, they could have fought. But what happened was like, those zero units from like National Department of Security in Afghanistan, they were like fighters. So what happened was like we emptied Kabul with them first. Like, okay, if you're taking all the like security forces at the first plane, what do you expect? You're definitely expecting, like, everybody wants to leave. If there's like a war going on and you give them a one-way ticket to US, they definitely leave. And then the few that behind there want to fight, but they don't have the resource to fight. And I think that was the biggest challenge. That was a deal that, unfortunately was made, and that I don't really think we had enough. Like in Afghanistan, there was enough people that wanted to fight, but the moral was broken and everybody was leaving.
Well, you know, we have friends that were Green Berets that told us, and as early back as 2020, they began handing districts over and doing joint patrols with the Taliban. So, I mean, this is something that needs to get out. The idea that, you know, I have Green Beret friends that said it was bizarre to be going on joint patrols with the Taliban or to be handing over districts to the people they were fighting. And so the thing was catastrophic. But here we are. We get you back to the United States now. It's been 4 years. And I want people to know about you, Prince, because when we were talking and you were in Kabul, you said, I don't know how you're ever going to pay me. I'm going to pay you back. And I said, you're going to be my biggest donor one day. I said, because you are sharp as a tack. You're hardworking. And, one of my favorite stories is the day you got back to the United States, you own a 7-Eleven. And, when I get back from conflict zones, I have like an adrenal adrenaline crash. Like you're tired, your body aches. You often will get the flu because your body's been hyper vigilant, right? So here you have been hyper vigilant now for 7 months. Leaving the United States, going to Pakistan, sneaking into Afghanistan, being stuck with your wife, um, the adventure of trying to get out of Afghanistan, making it to Qatar, now being stuck in Qatar for over a month, and now you make it home. And I was like, Prince, hey, um, let's talk when you're up to it. Maybe it's in a month, maybe it's in a year, but when you feel your nervous system is back, call me. And you called me the next morning, and I heard beep, beep, like the beep, 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 like that beep right there. It was the beep of your 7-Eleven employees. Or you actually were ringing up customers.
Yeah, I was ringing up customers. Yeah.
You were at your 7-Eleven ringing up customers. And I said, Prince, what is that noise? You go, I'm at work. You woke up early next morning. Tell me, what was it that first day like at just opening the door to your 7-Eleven?
Honestly, we didn't. I didn't even wait it to be next day. And when the day we arrived here in the afternoon, I took my wife. I was like, "Hey, let's go drive around. Let me show you some good stuff here. Like you've been through a lot. Let's go." And the first place I took her was Target. Like, let's go here. Let's go buy some clothes. Let's walk on outside. No, just to give her because
Yeah.
we've been through a lot. And the next day, yeah, I went to the store. So basically, almost all the city, like the people, neighborhoods around me, they all knew about my story. That I was trapped there, I was praying, and they were welcoming very well. Like everybody was coming just to see me there. That was definitely a refresher at the time. And then I can't hold myself. That I grew up working. Like I was like directly go there. Like, hey, I want to ring up some customer. I want to face people. I'm a people person. So that was definitely great relief, and it's still your type of like numb. You can't really believe you made it. You're here. You're here, but you're just like everywhere. Like how like whether roller coaster you came into, and now you're back in 7-Eleven. You're in downtown San Diego. It is it's a great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. Now, what was the first food you ate when you came back to the United States?
So because in Qatar, of course, there's no really great foods there. I actually on the
I
airport.
mean, there's really good food in Qatar, just not in a refugee
Not in
camp.
a refugee camp, exactly.
I
There's great food in
just want to
Qatar,
say,
not in a refugee
Doha,
camp.
you'll see restaurants and like
Yeah, absolutely.
hotels and
Yeah,
malls like you've never seen. But unfortunately, Humanitarian City
yeah.
didn't
And
have access.
I actually asked the personnel there, like, "Hey, can we live off the base? I pay myself. I want to live off the base because now my credit cards are working. My debit cards are working. I'm out." The first food actually we ate, I took her to Subway on New York on the airport. So
Okay.
when we landed there, I was like, "Hey, let's go get some Subway here." 'Cause I haven't had Subway there. I know this is one of the foods.
So
She
your
actually,
wife's first American food was
yeah,
Subway.
she liked it. She's still asking like for that sandwich. I was like, "That was a different taste." I was like, "Yeah, because we haven't eaten anything good for like almost 2 months, and there was the first step out of the plane. Our first stop was in New York on the airport, waiting for the next
Tell
plane."
your wife we'll have to go to Humanitarian City for 2 months and then leave to taste a sandwich like that. I
Yeah,
remember it being in the field in the army for a month, eating MREs. I'm sure you've ate plenty of MREs. And then I ate an orange.
yeah.
And in my memory, that orange was the best orange I ever had in my life. And I probably shouldn't say this publicly, but when I was I was in something called Cobra Gold. It's a big military exercise in 1989 in Thailand, and we were eating a lot of MREs. And the Thai guys, not to promote stereotypes, they got us some fresh meat from a dog, and they made rice with hot peppers. And people go, "What was it like?" I said, "It was the best meat I ever had." But hearing you talk, it probably wasn't that good. It was just the first fresh meat I had in a month.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was like
So
this. Yeah, you don't care what's come from. It's just good, right?
yeah,
MREs.
it was the peppers and the rice, and it was like amazing. So yeah, that Subway had to be, manna from heaven.
Yeah, it was definitely, and yeah, that was
So Prince, this is why your story is so important to me. Like even though I said I wouldn't have, um, If I was the Secretary of Defense, I would have fought against the SIV program, saying we want partners with skin in the game. But you're a man who's demonstrated that you have skin in the game for the United States and for Afghanistan, because you came here, you worked hard, you drove your Uber with your American flags all around it. You have the American flag at your house. Not that you, not that Democrats aren't good Americans, but you're a Republican. You're GOP guy, I think. Um, and you helped with the money we saved from evacuating you. You asked if we could put together a food program for the widows and orphans of the men who died fighting alongside the United States. And now we have literally done countless thousands of tons of coal and food across Afghanistan to the most vulnerable widows and orphans in Afghanistan. We built a women's medical center. We dug wells. We put in an aqueduct system. What else am I forgetting? We've done so much.
Yeah, building
Schools,
the road,
guarding
schools,
schools,
yeah,
building
food
a road.
assistance,
So you've done so much for Afghanistan.
paying for medical
And
bills.
now, because your 7-Eleven has been so successful, like I think you've been recognized as one of the best 7-Elevens in the country many years in a row and won awards.
Yeah, like champion of the fresh food sales for like all quarters for the region.
Yeah, so you have this award-winning 7-Eleven. Now a major grocery store chain is invested in you to now be an owner operator of a grocery store. And how old are you?
33.
Brother, when I was 33, I was barely making ends meet and I had like a credit score of 580. And now I'm
So
proud to say my credit score is probably 610 and I'm barely making ends meet still. But, here you are, a guy that has taken full opportunity of what it is to be an American.
what happens with the grocery business? So like hopefully we're in this stage of really like so we'll be the first grocery outlet opened in Virginia
For this chain.
for this chain. For this chain, grocery outlet. Yeah. So that's what they call it.
That's amazing.
So it has a lot of risk. They come up to me like, hey, it's risky. It's a new market. We don't know. I'm like, hey, I built up my life based on risk. So I don't have any issue there. And they wanted to send some existing operators there. They know how to navigate. I was like, hey, don't worry about that. Like, I got this.
Let me tell you about risk. My life and my wife's life hang in the balance. And I roll the dice and wait for the State Department to come through. Yeah. They picked the right guy, Prince. They picked the right guy. And we're just so proud of you. And we're so grateful that we've gotten to work with you. And you're the perfect example of what I say at the Vulnerable People Project, that we don't help weak people. We're weak people who help strong people placed in impossible situations. And, you were in Afghanistan. You had your head on a swivel. You had like steel running through your veins. And you were smart. But, probably without us, you would have found a way too. But by God's grace, we were able to be that way and give you that help, when you were in that moment of vulnerability. And I'm so grateful for it. And I always think of the people we're helping today. We still have people in safe houses, right? And I think about who they're going to become, who their children are going to become. We just this week were able to fly several Afghan girls who were in hiding for years off to college. And we're excited about that. Prince, we came up, Zainab and I came up with the name for the program. We're going to start doing more of this, getting these girls to college. It's called Flight to the Future.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely.
Flight to the Future is where we get them from Afghanistan to college. Yeah.
When I look back about the terrifying story when I went through like how it was, I think everything is in place by God's plan, and that was perfect. And when I look back, I think every moment of those time is worth it, because now I know VPP and I can do a lot more with that. And there's something that I can be proud of and speak about it like anywhere I go. Like, hey, VPP, we do this, we do that, we help people, we do that. This is something I'm a small member of this great organization that I can see it. It may be hard to see when you're in this beautiful country. Like, I know we got some issues here now, unfortunately, but it's a lot. It's maybe like, oh yeah, they do this, but when you're actually on the ground and you can see how much those little steps that people think it's small can affect people's life, and you're facing them directly, it's a different. I don't think you can buy that with money. That's what I can say. Like, you can buy that joy that you'll get internally with money when you're helping someone. Like, basically, you were sent by God. You're a messenger. To your point, like, those people, God will help them regardless. But if the God choose us to do that service for Him, imagine what privilege you are and we are at the moment. It's a different feeling. It is really. And I had this talk with them, like, okay, no, with the grocery people, like, okay, you need to leave your previous business to go to this new one because you can be both. And they're like, yeah, there's something I do for money, there's something I do for my heart. My nonprofit involvement is for my heart. I don't switch that with anything. The business stuff I do is different, right? So yeah, I was like, I carry VPP with me anywhere I go. It doesn't matter if I'm in Virginia or I'm in California.
Well, I want to make that very clear. You work for VPP as well. As you're doing all of this, you're managing all of our Afghan operations, and it's intense. I mean, it's emotionally intense. You have great days where we can rescue a child and get a child a life-saving surgery or something like this. And then we have tragic days that are unspeakably confusing and heartbreaking. You do all this while running your business. And I remember early on and during the when you first got back to the States, and people wondered how VPP was the only organization still evacuating people. It's because we were doing overland routes. We built these great overland routes. And so we were on a call with the State Department, and um, they again asked what the beeping was, and it was the store. And then the and then what happened? And then we were trying to explain to them we're a small NGO with a modest budget, embarrassingly modest budget, and an embarrassingly small staff. And just because we're doing these massive evacuations, you have to be respectful of our time because they were really burdening us with a lot. And because we're so small. And we were trying to explain to them because we were embarrassed. We're like, how do we tell them I run a 7-Eleven while running the Afghan operations? And then as we're on the call with the State Department, you get robbed at gunpoint. And we're like, and you're like, okay, guys, hold on, I'm being robbed. You set the phone down. We've got ambassadors and muckety mucks, and and then you give the guy what he wants, the gunman what he wants, and you're like back on the call. It was like a perfect way to explain to these guys, like, yeah, this is what we do. This is how we do it.
Yeah, and I was standing. So the office I have there, they have like so much product there. I cannot even sit. I have to stand when I do my calls. It's not an office. It is like a behind the door thing, but it's like everything. So to your point, so many of those calls were from that small office. Now I'm home basically, but normally and I was there until like 30 minutes ago to do that. So I'm going and training on there, and I'm still doing that just to.
Well, you took a day off, Prince. I'll land the plane on the show because you took a day off for us to do the show, and then you and I were both rocked
Yeah.
minutes before coming on the show. I actually knew pretty early on through someone very close to Charlie before the world had known that he was passed, but we were getting inundated and just kind of processing this, and he was someone that you really looked up to. We both admired greatly, and but we had to do the show today because I'm leaving, and you took today off from school,
Yeah.
from grocery store school, and which is great. I keep thinking this is going to help you with us, this logistic.
I'm actually officially graduated, right? But what happened was like until so I'm actually maybe flying to Virginia this Sunday for a market visit. They call. I have to go do the survey and put my business plan up there. And one thing is like anytime I put the business plan and I put my personal statement and people reading, they're like, we cry. They start crying like, what's going on? What did I do? Like, do you see what you have on there? I'm like, I don't know. That's my normal life. This is my normal thing. But it gets people to the point they're like, oh, anytime I read something from you, whether it's a business plan or it's a conclusion of your mission statement, I have to cry, like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, that's your heart. It's not me. That's my life. That's what I live every day. So
Well, Prince, yeah, it's been great to spend the past 4 years of your life with you, and you're my brother. And by God's grace, we'll work together to make our country a more beautiful place to live, and then together we can help keep the promise our country made to Afghanistan.
yes,
And I didn't like those promises because I didn't believe we could make them. Just like I didn't like the SIV promise, but we made the SIV promise, so we're going to keep it. And we made a promise to the people of Afghanistan, so I think we should keep it, especially to the widows and orphans of the men who died fighting alongside the United States. So we're going to continue to do that to my last breath. Hopefully, after my last breath, the organization will continue on, Prince. And I can't wait to go to your new grocery store.
hey, yeah, definitely. So mark your calendar so it's there. But I will definitely share when it's 100% confirmed. I really want to invite the entire veterans community of Virginia Falls Church area to that event. It's huge, and my heart goes there because I belong to that community, and I love every person.
Well, and they have the best Afghan restaurant in America in Falls Church.
So
So
now,
we'll have to have a party there. And then I cannot wait to go. And if worse comes to worse in my life, Prince, can I get a job as a the cart boy? Can I be the guy pushing the carts in, with the
actually have so
teenagers?
much respect from them anytime I talk, and because they started. So when I started, I was selling bananas on the street of Afghanistan at 7 years old. That's my retail, and then it started from there. And I actually have those like connecting like how I started and how they're like I actually have a big respect. So we in the store we have right now, we are training right now. We have the shop, like people pushing shop, and sometimes I go there and do that too. Like, hey, let's do
Hey, you're in the same business,
it.
right? Like
So
you
yeah.
started selling bananas, you're still selling bananas.
Yes, it's the same brand, exactly. So it's I'm still
You
there,
haven't
just
stopped
in like
selling
a
bananas.
larger quantity, but business is business, and it's really it's great, and I can't wait to go there. And I think we'll be close to DC. We'll be in capital, I will call it, and I think we can do a lot more. And I can't wait to get there, settle, and we plan and how can we do even more for our people in both sides, basically.
All right, hold right there, Prince. I'm going to end the show and then we'll talk a little bit, guys. Okay. Prince Wafa, again, congratulations on the beautiful life you're living, your growing and beautiful family, your success in business, and all of the successes that you've allowed us to have at the Vulnerable People Project. Guys, this was a hard show to do. I think Prince and I were both like, we had heavy hearts, but we wanted it. We wanted to do the show to celebrate 4 years since Prince's return to the United States with his wife after that harrowing adventure, or not 4 years from his return. It's been less than 4 years. Unbelievable. 4 years since VPP and Prince first met when he was hiding in Afghanistan, and we began the process of getting him home to his family. But to me, Prince is what's great about this country. My great grandfather came here, an orphan, didn't even know he had, his name was Johannes. That's all he knew. And he took the name Peter Jones when he came into this country. And we all have a Prince in our family tree. And we should all be very proud of those first Americans, that first generation, those immigrants who come here, work hard, and build something beautiful. It's been a privilege for us at VPP to be a part of Prince's story. And all of those of you who support the Vulnerable People Project, thank you very much. For we're the one I don't know of any other organization that is still operating at the level we are operating in Afghanistan and serving as many SIVs in safe houses as the VPP is serving. In fact, we know for a fact we have more Afghans in safe houses in Pakistan than the United States government at this point. And that's something that we're very proud of. The mission of the Vulnerable People Project has been very simple from the beginning, that I want to, and I'm going to be very clear, we want to share the truth of the human person, that we were made in the image and likeness of God and had been inviolable dignity, beauty, and worth. And that is found in the Declaration Principle. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights. That truth was given to us through sacred scripture. That truth is how we know the inviolable dignity of the human person. Our founding fathers called it self-evident. I mean, it is kind of self-evident, but that's not really a full explanation. That's why the world is such a mess. So at VPP, how do we teach this truth? It's by standing with those that it takes courage to stand with, whether it's the child in the womb or the child in Gaza. Prince talked about sort of, you can never understand what it's like to help somebody in such a difficult situation. I joked with Prince that I'm cutting into his business because we're making Slurpees now. Well, they're not Slurpees. I don't want to get sued. They're ices. I think Slurpees is a trademark of 7-Eleven, but we're giving ices out to the orphans across Gaza, and along with our food and our water deliveries, we're doing massive amounts of water deliveries. We're sending in about 7 trucks a week, big trucks filled with water. We get notice of communities that are dying of thirst, and then we get trucks to them. And we're showing up with ices and clowns and teachers to get the kids to sing and to dance and to laugh and to play. And if you follow us, if you go to our website, vulnerablepeopleproject.com, you can see what our Children's Day activities look like in Gaza. It's something really unbelievable. And that's the mission of VPP, to tell the truth about the human person, to point people towards their creator so that they love God and love their neighbor. And today, the sad day, it is strange. I'm friends with Malcolm X's family, the Shabazz family, and I'm friends with the King family. And it's strange. You think of those things, the assassination of great people is something that's in the past. It's strange when, like Prince and I, you actually personally know somebody, not just as a hero or as an icon, but as just a young man, just a 31-year-old young man. And he was a man. I have a 35-year-old son. I tell him he's still a boy to me. When you get to be my age, Prince is a boy, Charlie's a boy, because I know that there's so much life to live for them left, so many big things to experience left. And so a courageous young man, because he loved his country with order and discipline, built a massive organization. Really, I watched him for years when it was fledgling, when it wasn't what it had become, but he knew what he wanted it to become. And so this man, but really a man with so much of his life to live, to lose it, it's really an uncanny thing to witness. And the goal of VPP, if you read it at our website, it's to leave a culture of life and a civilization of love for our posterity. Political violence is not a way to live a beautiful polity to your descendants. Violent rhetoric is not a way to leave a peaceful and beautiful community for your posterity to live. We need to honor each other. We need to revere our creator and honor our creator. We need to be kind. We need to be thoughtful. We need to be gentle. And I have to remind myself of that every time I'm in traffic. It is not easy, or every time someone disagrees with me on X and I feel my blood pressure race. But I think maybe today's going to be a wake-up call for all of us that this isn't the country that we want to leave for our children. Charlie Kirk was speaking to our children at a university today. My university experience was the most beautiful experience of my life. The idea that all of those college students had to witness an assassination, and the place that should be the place of freedom and the free exchange of ideas. It's the one place in our society where young people should feel the safest. College for me was a charmed existence. And today it shattered it, not only for Charlie's family, but not only for those students that are watching it, but I fear for a generation of Americans, young Americans who won't feel safe on campus. So this is quite a catastrophe, quite a sad day, but we're remembering something wonderful. The show, as always, is being brought to you by the Vulnerable People Project, standing in solidarity with the most vulnerable people in the world when the world has walked away. Go to our website, vulnerablepeopleproject.com, and look at what we do. And if it doesn't catch you by surprise, if you're like, no way, this can't be done, if you don't think that, then don't donate. If you think that, then be a part of it, because it is something. It is something that this week we're planting gardens and parishes in Africa and several African countries. We're providing security for Catholic parishes in the most vulnerable places in the world. We're providing security for girls' education in Afghanistan. We were evacuating young Afghan girls to college. We delivered hot meals and birthday cakes to the Christians in Gaza. Yesterday, we delivered hot meals and birthday cakes in Gaza to celebrate the blessed Virgin Mary's birthday because we were going to do it on her birthday. But what happened was on the 8th, our team was attacked by a violent gang. They stole all of our food, stole the cake, stole the food, stole their phones, beat them up. And they went at it again, and they got it in the day after yesterday. So with all of that said, I kind of rambled on. For that, I apologize. Please pray for Charlie Kirk's family and all of those who loved him, and pray for our country. This has been the Jason Jones Show with the great Prince Wafa. Aloha.
2, 3, 4.